I still say the album should have opened with this track.
Okay. It's too late now, but whatever.
It's a little late, yes. And it's late at night here where I am in Arizona, and it's nice and sunny where Steve is in Southern California. That's kind of weird. Just kidding,
For
folks. So
right.
this is exciting stuff. Like, when's the last time we got to review a brand new Yes song from a brand new Yes album?
About 3 years ago.
Yeah, it's a while. Why don't we do what we always do and start from the outside and work our way in and start with the cover?
Right. So the press release arrived for the upcoming Yes album, Aurora. And that, of course, came with cover art made by the amazing Roger Dean. So there it is. You got those, aurora lights in the sky, and you got the rock formations, the bridge, or it feels like green is very much the dominant color here, but you also got blues and purples. What do you think of this, Dad?
You know what? As soon as I saw it, I thought this might be one of my favorites. I really, really like this. Can you zoom in, please, and scoot around a bit? Do I see people on the rock bridge, or is that just a smaller rock?
I think they're just rocks.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, but it's
this kind of reminds me of like a cactus in a way, or maybe like something from the sea.
I was thinking, yeah, either something from the sea or Sydney Opera House.
Oh yeah, I can kind of see that, like the shape of these things. Yeah.
It's beautiful though. I love it. And those are all like some of my favorite color combinations.
Yeah, like this color scheme also feels very much in the vein of what he's done for Celestial Songs, that Down's Braid Association album from a couple years ago, but it also feels like a totally different picture. And up here we have the Yes logo in orange and the Aurora title, which the angularness, if that's even a word, does remind me a little bit of the Asia logo, but it also has the connectivity within the letters and those shapes that remind me of stuff like what he's done for Yes related stuff, like the In a Word box set, or maybe even hints of Fragile, Close to the Edge, that type of stuff.
And even the latter, but yet this is a new font altogether.
Yeah, he may have used it for something else, but yeah, like this is it's pretty interesting. And I like how the way that the A shape is here, it kind of blends nicely with how these pointing rocks that are on the side are.
Yeah, and there's something else about this, the realism. If you could scoot back to how you had it for a moment, to the left. But zoom back. You zoom back in, and now go up. Go up, all the way. Yeah. Okay. So you could see that on the left, you see more of the stars, whereas on the right and through the Aurora, you don't see as many stars because of the filter, is canceling them out. So it's very real the way he did that. I love the attention to detail in that. And I wonder, Steve, now that this is out, I wonder if he'll show a video of this piece being made, which would be great.
Yeah, I imagine if he does, it would probably be like a short montage video. Sometimes Roger Dean and his daughter Freya go live for like a half hour or an hour, taking in questions and stuff. And in the past, he's like done a painting live on his page, but I don't think we've seen him do this one live. But for all we know, he could have filmed himself doing it, and maybe they had to like wait until after this press release info and stuff before he can put that out. So hopefully we will see something like that. That would be really cool. So I'll go ahead and read I'll go through the press release like bit through bit during this discussion. We got a bunch to talk about, like details about this album, the track list, and of course the title track came out today, April 10th, and it came with a music video for it. So
I have a comment, if I may.
okay.
Before you sent this to me, I just out of nowhere, early in the morning, I was making breakfast for the dogs and cats, and for some reason, Turn of the Century kept playing through my head. And I haven't listened to it in a while. Sometimes, folks, how a song just pops in your head, right? It was Turn of the Century, and we know what that story is. Then when we got this, and we can address the video some more later, but when we got this and I saw the video, I'm like, oh, this is interesting. I was thinking of Turn of the Century, and here's a man and a woman, and I'm not sure if we're seeing her ethereal self in the afterlife, or like what the deal was. And quite honestly, I didn't focus on the video other than the styling of the art. So I didn't follow the story. And quite honestly, and I don't mean this as a criticism, but for my own sensibilities of receiving the song for the first time, the video was kind of a distraction. So I need to listen to the song by itself a few times without looking at the video, and then watch the video. And I wonder if there's a lyric video out there yet, or a list.
Well, the lyrics are in the description of the music video.
And I didn't look at that. I just put it on while I was working in the kitchen. So I'll have to do that. But yeah, we can dive more into the video and stuff after some other nuggets. But yeah, go into the press release, some of that first.
Right. And for context, I was up pretty late last night because I was watching Malcolm in the Middle, Life's Still Unfair with my friend, because that miniseries dropped at midnight and I was still pretty awake afterwards. So I was able to listen to the track when it came out. It was on, I think, both Bandcamp and YouTube. So I was able to listen to it on its own.
Rewind a little bit. Malcolm in the Middle, was Walter White in that? I mean, Bryan Cranston in that?
Yeah, he played the dad, Hal.
Yeah, okay, so he was in what you're watching. It's a newer miniseries?
Yeah, it's like almost 20 years after the show ended, yeah.
Oh, wow, interesting. I'll have to catch that. But I'm sorry, go on. So you caught this probably right around the actual release in the early hours, right?
Right, yeah. So I was able to listen to the track on its own, and then I saw the music video drop at 3 a.m. my time, Pacific time. So I was already familiar enough with the track, having done those couple listens, and could focus on the video on its own more. But we'll touch on that a bit more later. Going back into the press release, of course, this is the lineup of Steve Howe, Jeff Downs, John Davison, Billy Sherwood, and Jay Shellen. And this album, Aurora, will come out June 12th via Inside Out Music / Sony Music. So we got just 2 months for its proper release. And the pre-order link is in the description of this post, so go check that out. Steve Howe said, making this record was joyful, a chance to play, explore, and give everything to the music. It's always been about collaboration. Somebody can write a song, but until everybody puts their contribution in it, isn't really a Yes song. We're not trying to echo the past. We're carrying the spirit of Yes forward and turning it into something new. So before I read more of this press release, what do you think of what Steve said there in the context of this title track itself?
I think it absolutely fits. I was going to say that the music, it's interesting because no matter what era of Yes anyone's into, this sounds like Yes. If someone is like, I only listen to Gates of Delirium, this still sounds like they can relate that, oh, this is Yes. Even the Trevor years, there's definitely traces of exactly how Mr. House said, the spirit of Yes. And I recognized that right away. I also heard some either new or rarely used guitar sounds by Steve, which was really cool. I could have had a heavier dose of like a keyboard solo by Jeff. I mean, Jeff is really a formidable player. I think he's highly underrated. If you think of all the album tours they've done with Jeff Downes on keyboards and all the different music that he's emulated, it's quite fascinating. You know, there's a lot of stuff that is not the same. But we'll see what the rest of the album has. I'm not saying the song is lacking because of that. I was just eager for it. But what Steve Howe says is absolutely fitting, and you can hear it in the music. How about you?
Yeah, like interesting what you say about Jeff here. I feel he is very present on this song, more so than some of the other songs on the last couple albums have
Yeah.
felt. You know, a common thing, a bit of feedback that people have said is like Jeff really could, you know, inject more of himself into this stuff. Like you hear
There,
the other
there,
guys and maybe
yeah,
here it's
there
finally
is
happening.
more of his textures, and yeah, I can hear his orchestral arranging, I believe, is probably his. You definitely hear him in there. I was waiting for more of a out of
Right.
selfishness, though, you know. But you know, I wonder, and I don't know if the track list has the run times, but they Jeff
It
and
does.
okay, because John and Jeff have been what threatening us with a long piece. Is it on this album, Steve?
Well, I do see there is a 14-minute track, so I don't see the writing credits on this, but it could be possible. But going back to the orchestration, and I'll read off the track list in a bit, but
Okay.
the orchestration, right here, it's credited to Czech National Symphony Orchestra, conducted by Vladimir Martinka. And
Oh.
I believe Paul K. Joyce, who worked on the last couple albums of the orchestrations, I think he might still be
Oh.
involved in this album, which is kind of odd that I don't see him in the description here, even though it's been said that he's part of this album. But I quite like the orchestrations. It gives it a very, you know, obviously a symphonic feel, but it feels majestic and
Yeah.
grandiose.
Totally.
And weirdly, you know how it begins with the that actually kind of reminds me, and I don't think this was intentional, of an old Yes track from the Paris sessions in 1979, Friend of a
Oh.
Friend, which
Yeah.
had kind of a like, but it's such an easy thing to come up with independently that I don't think this is like a repurposing of that. It's just kind of funny that my mind wandered to that track, but overall, this feels fresh and new. I actually kind of wished that the instrumental intro had been longer than it was, but I guess if this is the
Good.
opening track, I guess if
Yeah.
this is the opening track, you probably want to hear the singing come in sooner, which, you know, John Davison's vocals come in. And I really like the lyrics of this song and how it's about the light within oneself. You know, we're always searching for that type of thing, and that ties into the aurora, the lights. It's a really good song, I feel.
That's great. If it's any indication of how the rest of the album is, it's going to be a great album and probably a very wonderful tour too.
Yeah. So the track list begins with Aurora at 7.5 minutes. Well, 7:27 to be specific. Then that'll be followed by Turnaround Situation, just 5 minutes 50 seconds. Then Love Lies Dreaming, which is 6 minutes 24 seconds. Counter Movement, which is 13 minutes 48 seconds. And this next one, I think it's pronounced Ariadne. It's 6 minutes and 18 seconds. It's apparently the name of a figure from Greek mythology. I'm not super familiar with all of that,
Oh,
so it'll be interesting to see maybe what the lyrics when we hear them can tell us about that.
yeah.
And then All Hands on Deck is 3 minutes and 4 seconds. Looks like that's the shortest track on the album. Followed by Outside the Box, which is 4 minutes and 20 seconds. Then Emotional Intelligence is 3 minutes and 30 seconds. And then that's followed by 2 bonus tracks, one of which is titled Jam Bustin', and it's 4 minutes and 24 seconds. And concluding with Watching the River Roll, which is 4 minutes and 42 seconds. Based on the Jam Bustin' title, I assume that that's maybe a jam that the band did during these sessions, and they felt it was fun enough to put on here. Like, that's kind of my prediction for what that might be.
Yeah, maybe that answers my question. I was going to point out that I always took bonus tracks as something that was included in a later re-release. Otherwise, what makes them bonus? You know what I mean? Otherwise, they're just tracks on the debut of the album.
Well, there have been albums in the past where a bonus track is basically just an extra, like a hidden gem type thing. Like when certain Yes albums would be released in Japan, they would sometimes come with a bonus track. Like Union came with Give and Take.
Right.
And there was Fly From Here came with an extended version of Hour of Need. So
okay.
And even I think Asia has had albums like that too. And Yes have been doing this with the last couple albums as well, The Quest and Mirror to the Sky, where on those have each had 3 bonus tracks, which are basically 3 on each of those, like 3 pieces. I guess they considered not part of the main track list because it kind of diverged stylistically in a way, I guess.
That makes sense.
Yeah, like on The Quest, there's that one song that was a Mystery Tour, which is basically kind of a fun Beatles tribute type of song, and it wasn't part of the main track list. But
that makes sense.
I'm very curious how these will feel among the rest of these tracks.
Yeah,
and it says here. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, so far it sounds like the response Steve and I both have respectively about the album is this. Right?
Yeah, like I really enjoy this track. It's very epic. And I don't know if you've like compared in your head, but when it comes to the first track that's come out from the last couple albums, the Ice Bridge, Cut from the Stars, and now Aurora, where would you rank this among those 3?
Oh, I think of the 3, it might be the best. I like Ice Bridge a lot. Now I want to hear them side by side, but I like this a lot. You can hear a progression in the music across these albums,
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I think I might prefer the Ice Bridge a little bit, but I still really dig the adventurous feel that this song has, and it really feels like areas of these last couple albums have been exploring, that orchestra side further as they've been going along.
Yeah.
Kind of like circling back to Magnification in a way, bringing the spirit of that and bringing it forward, mixing the prog with the orchestration. So that gets me excited for how the rest of this album could sound.
Yeah, and the big sound. And from the comments, watching live on Facebook, Gary Van Leeuwen says, a big thank you to you guys for introducing this album to us. You're welcome. Bruce Leroy, not as happy, says his voice is annoying. Maybe he means me and not John Davison. I don't know. My wife says my voice is annoying, but only when I talk.
Yeah, I mean, I know we all have our preferences, but whenever there are these criticisms about John Davison's voice, I just don't get it. Like,
I think his voice is really good.
I really love his singing.
Yeah, it's really clean. But Bruce, I'm just curious, like not arguing or pushing back on that. We all have our own taste, but what is it about his voice that's annoying. It's very clean. I don't remember how old John is now. He's at least 50, I think, right?
Yeah, I think he's in his early 50s, perhaps.
Yeah. And
Um,
it sounds amazing to me that anyone can sing like that in that phase of life. And then we got people like Ian Gillan, who sounds amazing at 81. John Anderson sounds amazing at 81. You know, all these, I don't know how they do it. Geddy Lee, you know, did you hear Geddy's voice on Finding My Way when they surprise opened for the Juno Awards? It sounds incredible.
yeah,
That shocked me. Of all songs, I never would have thought that would have been one that they open with because of the high register. So it's interesting, you know, what some people are able to maintain. But John Kuhn says John D has a great voice. Cool. And you know, again, we all have different preferences, and that's okay. That's what makes it, you know, art is subjective. Any kind of art, whether it's musical art, the dance arts, the culinary arts, you know, it's like you can't say pizza sucks, but you can say you don't like pizza. You know, same thing
right.
with song, album, instrument sound, voice, or live presentation. Ah, that sucked. No, you just didn't like it. You know.
Right. And it's all about respect and whatnot at the end of the day. But going back to this press release, it says here that when Yes first began sketching out ideas for what would become Aurora, the process was loose and exploratory. There was
Hmm.
no preconceived concept at the start, just a collection of musical fragments that gradually began to find one another and take form. Among these early sketches was a piece titled Aurora, and it quickly became clear that the name carried certain gravity. It suggested light, emergence, and a sense of vastness, qualities that resonated deeply with the band. John Davison remembers how, quote, the title immediately resonated with Steve Howe and sparked visual inspiration for artist Roger Dean, setting a conceptual tone that would guide the project, unquote. And work on Aurora began almost as soon as the classic Tales of Yes tour ended in
Oh,
2024. The idea of a new album surfaced quickly, and with the label's encouragement, the band had the time to develop material organically. Rather than gathering in a studio for months, they embraced a modern workflow. Ideas were born in home studios, shaped independently, and then woven together through constant collaboration. Downs and Howe often acted as a central creative axis, with Howe as producer serving as the point through which all ideas eventually flowed. So, what do you think of that workflow, the way it's described there, Dad?
yeah. I'm glad that's in there because I was going to ask. I wonder if they ever got in a room together and worked on any of this at some point. But you know, that shows it worked, that it does work, and a lot of people do that, and a lot of people were forced to do that during the pandemic. You know, a lot of stuff was born out of that, and it was a proof of concept that yeah, this works. Even back in the day, I remember being at Alan White's house, and they all had at that time. So this is like 1990, 91, 92. You know, that whole period when they were working on what became Union, the tracks that ended up on Union, they all had the same digital 8-track recorder, and they would either you know, some of them live nearby, so they would swap tapes, add to it, you know, stuff like that. So it kind of harkens back to that before people were actually doing file swapping on the internet. So it's not really, it doesn't strike me as unusual or anything whatsoever. And Steve lives in the UK, and everyone else, as far as I remember, lives in the United States.
Well, John Davison, Jeff Downs, Steve, and now Billy all work in the
Oh,
UK.
that's
They
right.
all live in the UK,
Yeah, I
but
forgot Billy
Jay,
moved. Yeah.
yeah, Jay lives in the US, but I think Billy uh, sometimes works with Jay in the US. Like he'll
Yeah,
go
I forgot
between.
about
Yeah. Yesterday when I talked with Joe Luca on here, he mentioned how, there is something special about everyone being in the room together. And I do agree that bands can find certain discoveries when they all play together in one place, but
yeah.
there's still like this workflow of, working long distances that could still work. And, it's something that in the past Air W apparently had trouble with. And here,
Right.
yes, they're able to do this and still put together like a really good album. And if it gets the thing done, it gets the thing done at the end of the day.
Totally. And uh Bruno Sampa, hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, watching live on YouTube, says John and Steve also played keyboards on this track. John also did some electric rhythm guitar, very layered track. Interesting. I'll have to kind of listen to that and see what I can pick out. But yeah, I forgot all those other guys lived in the UK now. That totally.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm looking at the credits now, and yeah, it does say here that John Davison played electric rhythm guitar and organ on this song, and it lists the guitars that Steve played and additional keyboards. So yeah, I totally missed that. So thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah,
and I want to ask the audience if anyone who hasn't chimed in yet about hearing this, give us your thoughts on it. Anything you want, the artwork, the production of this first song that we get, the playing, the story, any of that. We'd love to hear what other people think.
Yeah, for sure. And it also says here, across Aurora, each track carries its own character. Some echo the classic Yes approach, others push into new territory, but together they form a cohesive whole that honors the band's heritage while embracing forward motion. With their 24th studio album, Yes demonstrate not just longevity, but a sustained curiosity, a desire to keep exploring, keep refining, and keep discovering their capacity to create. And I quite like that right there, that they're still putting out new music. They still want to make time to create this stuff.
Yeah.
And, I'm sure they probably won't play a huge chunk of this album on the tour, maybe a couple of tracks, but still to put out new music for us to hear. Like I always get excited about that because it's always a mystery, the unknown, like what's going to happen next. And this track really does that trick of hyping me up personally.
Well, I wonder.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just because I wonder if we did a show for Steve Howe's birthday the other day, and we talked about he needed essential surgery, so they put off the Fragile tour. But I wonder, being that this comes out in June and they're having to delay the tour, if it's going to reshape the tour. Are they still going to do that tour in the UK and then come here and tour this album? And I sure hope that they play most, if not all, of the album. To me, when any band puts out an album and then they do a tour, the tour should be to support the album and let us see, feel, and hear the new music live. And I really hope that we get that. And Steve Howe just now turning 79. I think it's just great that he's this active, and it'd be interesting to see what shapes as far as a tour around this album and what how the delay does or does not affect what they play, where they play it, and all that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think whenever the UK tour gets rescheduled, I expect it'll probably still be considered the Fragile tour. And I think they're also playing that in Japan. I saw that they might be doing that in September. So after that, who knows? But like the trend has been that they'll focus on the tour being like the album series, or there's that tour that was Classic Tales of Yes, which was not focused solely on an album. There's a bit of the Tales medley, but overall it was very focused on classic Yes stuff with maybe one or two newer tracks. So I'm keeping my expectations in check. I would love for them to play more of the newer material.
It's a fragile situation.
Right. And John Kuhn chimes in again saying, in my opinion, the intro is the most beautiful intro since Close to the Edge. That's very high praise right there.
Yeah, I definitely got to listen to this a few more times. I haven't listened to it since the first pass early this morning, so I'll have to make some time and listen to that. Yeah.
Right. And this album will be in various formats. And I guess we'll talk about the video after we talk about the formats. So Aurora will be available as a limited deluxe 180G light green 2LP 2CD Blu-ray art book and poster, as well as a limited deluxe 2CD Blu-ray art book, both featuring the stunning artwork of Roger Dean and Freya Dean, as well as a bonus disc of instrumentals and a Blu-ray featuring Dolby Atmos, 5.1 surround sound, and 24-byte stereo mixes by Curtis Schwartz. Wow. The album is also available as a gatefold 180G 2LP or LP booklet, special edition CD digipack, and as digital album. And I have the tab for the yesworld.com store open, so I'll go ahead and share that and scroll through the different versions that they have listed there real quick.
I wonder if the LPs will be colorized to reflect the cover at all. That'd be neat.
Right, there is a colored one. Yeah, there's the Aurora Grape 2X gatefold vinyl with booklet, and there is this one here that's like looks like a light green.
Yeah, and then the magenta one next to that.
Yeah, that's the grape one. The greenish one is apparently sold out from that Yessworld store already.
When did it go on sale? It must have been today.
Yeah, pre-orders started today.
Wow, and they're sold out. How could they be sold out if, like, don't they just keep making them? It's a pre-sale. It's not available yet. I don't know.
Well, the colored vinyls are maybe not as plentiful as the CDs and stuff. You know, colored vinyls are usually like a limited thing. But yeah, that shows that there's a demand for that type of thing. There's a black vinyl here. Here you can see the CDs and Blu-ray.
Can you believe
those are the past albums.
Oh, those are great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I still have not bought a record player, which is crazy. I have our 1924 Victrola, but I'm not playing anything new on that. And I just got tons of, you know, not only my old albums, but, you know, all the newer stuff we've gotten from management and the record companies and stuff. I need something to play all that on. I bet it sounds great. I might just get a inexpensive record player at Walmart or something.
Right. So there's this Aurora t-shirt as well. Let's see. Does it magnify? I think it does.
Cool.
Okay. It might look a little bit blurry the way it is here.
No, it looks clear.
But yeah, I'll go back to that other page to see the other formats. So scrolling up and whoops, overshot it.
And this is yesworld.com.
Okay, so yeah, this is usstore.yesworld.com. It looks like the 2 CD Blu-ray art book is sold out as well. I think that's the one I was eyeing. So I'll have to see if they restock this eventually, or maybe I get one of these other versions. So yeah, I got the black vinyl, the CD digipack, the Aurora T, and I think there are there are these banners here as well. So the cover T, we got, that's a nice display of all the different versions, and the grape vinyl.
Very cool.
So yeah, that'll be really cool to get. So next up, we have the music video, which was created by Matt Hutchins, who has apparently worked on stuff related to the music videos for, I guess, Greg Lake, Oasis, and Iron Maiden. So those are big names right there. What'd you think of the video? You know, whatever you saw of it.
Well, the styling, the style of it, I thought was really intriguing. It made me want to watch it, but I intentionally didn't watch it much because I was trying to focus on the music, and I want to read the lyrics and understand the story and incorporate my knowledge of that when I watch the video to watch it. I thought the car was interesting. I thought, oh, that's a interesting car. But the architecture and the landscaping and the people, it was neat. It didn't look like anything I ever saw, other than when I first saw him, I thought of what's it called? There was a Disney anime that his eyes reminded me of. What was that? It was what was the one with the genie with Robin Williams? I feel like
Aladdin.
yeah, it reminded me of Aladdin style. But as it went on and you saw more of his physicality and, like I said, the car, the architecture, it has its own look. I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, it did kind of remind me of some Disney and Pixar stuff stylistically, and even kind of a bit like that Netflix show Arcane in a way, with the types of colors and the design. And they do this thing in this music video where there's like shading across his face, and the story in this does feel like it might be like a love story. You know, he's going to search for this woman, and there are even some Easter eggs, like by his on his nightstand there are two books. One of them is titled The Quest, the other is titled Future Memories.
Oh, so, really? I didn't notice that.
And in the back of his car, there's a crate that says Fragile on it.
Oh,
so,
I didn't notice that either.
Yeah, so there's a bit of fun had with this here. I will say that I was a bit distracted by I guess it's kind of the filter that's on this video. I guess it's trying to make it look like you're watching something that's like on film reels, and so you get like these little sparkles or flicker type of things.
Yeah. Like film dust, they call that, film dust.
Yeah, I could have done without that, honestly, but I thought that this was an interesting approach. It's quite different from some of the other videos they've done for the past couple albums, where they'll show these different places and insert pictures of the band members. Here you don't see the band members at all. And I think you know, I love seeing the band members perform in music videos, but I can also admire when they go all in on an attempt at a story within a music video. And this doesn't feel as out there as the Owner of a Lonely Heart music video, as interesting as
and I'd like it to be one or the other. You know, I'd like it to be completely a story video or completely a band video. I don't like when it's mixed. Again, just my own taste. You know, yeah. Let the story be the story and let me watch the band. Two separate experiences.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I'm used to seeing some hybrid type of music videos, and I think I'm generally fine with them, but I totally get the philosophy of commit to one or the other. Right. You know, maybe if you showed the band and they're in live action while this is animated, that could feel a bit strange to some people, jumping back and forth from one thing to another.
And in the comments, and I agree, in the comments watching live on YouTube, let's see if I can do this one. Michael Hitches, 4071. I know I got the 4071 correct. He says, nice new song. The mix needs to turn up the bass. Oh, that reminds me. Thank you, Michael. I'll have to listen for that. I thought that John's voice could have been out front more. I think his voice was too level with a lot of the instruments, and I wanted his voice to kind of be out front a little bit more. Bruce probably wouldn't agree with that, but that's okay. What did you think of the mix, Steve? And I'll listen for that regarding the bass.
Yeah, so I listened on headphones, so I do kind of wonder if maybe it sounds different without headphones, but I thought the mixing was fine. Like, I could make out John's words well enough, and I thought it was, you know, the volume of his voice and the volume of the instruments. For me, it worked personally.
That's cool. Hey, look at this. I don't think anyone's ever said this before. I don't know if anyone's ever done this before, but Gary says, I'm watching you guys on Drum Talk TV and Yesshift both. So question for you, Gary. Are they in sync? I'm just curious. Like, are they exactly in sync, or is there a slight delay between them? That's kind of interesting.
Right. So what are your I know that it's kind of tough to say because like the album's not out yet, but
you're gonna
how do
ask
you
my favorite
predict
song, even though we haven't heard them all.
well, I was gonna say, how do you expect it'll be received compared to The Quest and Mirror to the Sky?
Without hearing the rest, it's really hard to say. However, if this first song is a reflection of what most of the album sounds like, even though they were very overt about saying there's some classic formulas in there, as well as pushing into new territory, I think this will be. I'm just anticipating this will be accepted better than those two by the people who care about the current Yes. There's always going to be those people who just, it's not Yes without Peter Banks. It's not Yes without Patrick Moraz. It's not Yes without Rick. It's not, you know what I mean? And that's okay if that's what you like, but it doesn't mean you need to throw shade at something you don't like. It's like Steven said earlier it's about respect, but that doesn't mean you have to like it. There's certain things I don't like, but I'm not a douche about it. I don't think most of the time. Don't ask my wife about that. So I think the reception is going to be really well because, as I mentioned, I hear a forward, upward progression from the other two albums just in this one song.
Yeah, I feel like the general vibe amongst those who care about the current band is that Mirror to the Sky felt like it progressed upward from The Quest. I think for me, I still prefer The Quest slightly over Mirror to the Sky, but I'm probably in the minority, and I'm honestly fine with being in the minority because if it were the other way around and everyone thought, oh, The Quest was great, but they kind of went down with Mirror to the Sky, if that would be kind of a different thing because like I would prefer for people to be happier with whatever the newer album is, if that is the case,
Hey, here's an album series idea for the band. How about you play the full album of the new album?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way the old days were, Have they done forgive me for not knowing this, folks. It means I didn't see it if they did, or I'd remember. But have they included Relayer in an album series?
So that's the one that they had to delay and then cancel. But recently, John Davison said in an interview that he's hopeful that Relayer is still on the horizon. So I don't know how far off that could be if it happens.
Right.
Yeah.
If they do that tour, folks, and you go see them, you've got to wear clogs so that you can clog dance to that one song that has dun 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 dun. It's perfect for clogging, right?
Sure.
Am I alone with this? See, now I wanna play. I wanna go down in my studio and play, but I got this jacked up shoulder and I got to figure this out. This is excruciating, but I'm inspired to play just from hearing that one song and talking about all this and stuff. And for those who don't know, I do play a little bit of drums for 56 years now. And my wife keeps saying, you should play more as you play every day. And it's like, so busy with the business, I lose track, I forget, and then I don't play. And I want to play. I'll play to this. I'll learn it and play to this first song.
Right. And if this follows the pattern of the last couple albums, I think we might see another single maybe in a few weeks, next month, something like that.
I wonder what's up with that short 3-minute song. I'm eager to find out what that is. When's the last time they did a 3-minute song? Was it 3:14, 3:05, something like that, Steve?
Yeah, there's a 3-minute and 4-second song called All Hands on Deck. And the last track of the main track list is 3.5. It's called Emotional Intelligence. So kind of curious that they close with a shorter song. I'm kind of wondering what the tone of that one will be.
I know what I hope, right? That it's not the cool down song. You know, the interesting topic
Yeah,
even I've always had because we differ on some closing tracks. There's closing tracks I love, but I don't like them as the closing track. I like albums to end with a bang rather than
yeah, and I'm kind of different. And like, for example, Mirror to the Sky, they have the epic title track, but then that's followed by the closer, Circles of Time, which is softer, but it's very existential, and there are lyrics that make me think inward. So I really love that as a closing song. And to me, like, the studio album is the studio album. It doesn't have to be the concert. That's a different
oh
format
yeah, yeah,
altogether. Yeah.
totally agree. The song Time is Time, I love that song, and the version that they do on Songs from Songus is so beautiful. It is so beautiful, and it fits so perfectly in that part of the set with Wondrous Stories. But I was kind of it to me it made the album anticlimactic, but I understand closing.
No, yeah, that one I agree could have been put earlier in the track list. I think because compared to something like Circles of Time, it feels more simplistic, you know, like the
Yeah,
sound and lyrics in a way. Like, so I guess for me, it's like a case by case thing.
sure. And while we're on that topic, just briefly, remind me, I'm ashamed I don't know the answer to this. I think I've lost some memory somehow. That's an understatement. One of your favorite songs, Holy Lamb, is that the last track on Big Generator?
Yeah.
But the difference between that is that Holy Lamb graduates, you know, it crescendos, it builds before it closes. So it's a little bit different there.
Right.
And I like that.
Yeah.
I like the placement of that one.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, for all we know, the rest of this album could feel like more of this song, or it could be more eclectic, different styles. So
Yeah.
very curious to see how it'll turn out.
We have to wait till June.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be here before we know it.
That's scary. Thanks for the reminder. June 10th, right? June 10th?
12th. Yeah,
12th.
Interestingly, I think it comes out on the 50th anniversary of that JFK Stadium concert. Yes, did.
Oh, that's interesting. David Wendell says, I love the endings, Circles of Time and Time is Time from both albums, both very dramatic. Cool. Thanks, David.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. So folks, if you haven't chimed in, but you have heard this song, tell us what you think. I want to know what more people think.
Yeah, I think generally there have been some mixed comments. You know, there are some who can't get into it, and there are some who really like it. So I think that's kind of to be expected with some of the newer ES songs, but
or anything for that matter.
Yeah.
There's people whose entry point was 90125 or Talk, and then they hear Gates of Delirium, Sound Chaser, or Close to the Edge, and they're like, "Oh, what happened here?" You know, so
right.
Everyone has a different perspective based on many different things: their entry point, their model of the world, what kind of music they like, you know, so many things. But I would like to know, I'd like to know what do the fans of the current Yes era feel about it, and what do fans of the, let's call it, classic lineup feel about it? You know, the Going for the One, Tormato, even Close to the Edge, and Fragile people. You know, will they even give it a chance? You know, or are they predisposed to say, it's not. I'd love to know.
Yeah, I think that the fans who are apprehensive about post John Anderson Yes stuff might hear it and then be like, it's not for me. Whereas the ones who still are supporting like the current endeavors of the band, I think those fans generally seem happy with the song. So that's the vibe that I get based on the comments that I've seen on social media so far.
Cool. Very cool. Any last words on this?
I'm probably gonna listen to this song some more, but hopefully I don't like overplay it. You know, I gotta space it out so that once I get to the album and the full track list, I won't want to be like, oh, I've heard this before. Let's just get to these other songs. You know, I want to listen to the whole album altogether, you know?
Yeah. That's funny. Skipping over it from overplay. Well, very cool. And thanks everybody for watching, whether you watched us live on Facebook and YouTube on Yesshift or Drum Talk TV respectively. Thank you. You can follow us on anchor.fm as well if you just like audio versions. And you can write us where?
Yesshiftpodcast@gmail.com.
Cool. We're still there if you have any ideas, comments, or anything at all. And we'll see you soon with more fun stuff.
And on Tuesday, April 14th, that's the 14th, right? Yeah. We're going to have Oliver Wakeman on here at 9 a.m. Pacific.
Who's he been with?
Yeah, so it'll be 9 a.m. Pacific US time, 12 p.m. Eastern. So that's noon Eastern, and 5 p.m. UK time. We'll talk with him about the upcoming expanded From a Page album and all this other stuff he's been doing. You know, the Wakeman and Son tour, the From a Page tour, the re-released Mother's Ruin album. That'll be a really fun conversation. And I see David Wendell chimed in again about Aurora, saying great song. Steve's guitar has that jazzy feel. Jeff and the orchestra have that classical music feel. Billy and Jay on the bass and drums, very rock oriented. 3 different styles in one song. Very different. Fan of all eras.
Cool. Very cool. Awesome. Thanks, folks. We will see you soon. Join us for Oliver. And we got a bunch of other stuff up and coming. And we appreciate you following what we do very much. I'm glad you enjoy it. If you do, I'm just assuming. I don't know. All right. Thanks, everybody, so much. We will see you, like Steve said, on the 14th with Oliver Wakeman. Thanks, everyone.